Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Dudes Extranomical Fantasy Show. He's Dave, I'm Casey, and it's time to talk a little fantasy. Oh,
Casey, can you live this fantasy life?
Dave, it's not reality. It's just a fantasy. Oh yeah, and it's hot and heavy action this
Right.
week. We are 12 team league. We run it through NFL.com, non PPR, no flex, three wides, two running backs, quarterbacks get 6 points for touchdowns as it should be. But here's the
Excellent.
tricky part: only five bench spots in our league makes you have to make some very tough decisions, and it lets the other guys sift around those decisions and leaves a little tasty morsels on that waiver wire. And
Y-
Dave, tell the people how our waiver wire works.
Yeah, the waiver wire works like this. If you make a waiver wire selection in a given week, you are then pushed to the back of the list for the next week. So you have to be really kind of maybe cautious about not taking one every single week. That way, you can push your spot up closer and closer to the top so that when you really need a guy, you got the positioning waiver wire to get him.
That's right. I drafted 12 out of 12 in our league. So I'm sitting there at the waiver spot right at the top and I'm holding out, baby. It's got to be
Yeah.
somebody awesome. So some positions, there's awesomeness there. Some there's not. But Dave, let's go ahead and start with the quarterback position.
Yeah, how about Derek Carr, Casey, man? He was throwing it all around the yard against that banged up secondary for the Ravens, but looking pretty good there. And he's available in 68, almost 68% of the leagues out there. He threw for 435 yards and two scores. Up next, it's Pittsburgh. But long term, maybe Derek Carr is going to be lighting it up all year.
Yeah, he's got a ton of weapons there. I'm
Yep.
going to go ahead and throw out Jared Goff. He's available in almost 87% of the leagues. He's got a very good matchup against those Packers. They're 30th. And if the game goes how I think it's going to go, he's going to have to throw a lot because they're going to have to try to score some points in that game. So, you know, he had a nice week last week against the Niners. See if he can keep it going.
Yep.
All right, Dave, let's take a look at running back.
Yeah, Casey. Josh Jacobs, the Raiders ruled out for this Sunday. It's that bad toe of his, man. That's not good for him. Also, Mostert done for the year, as we know, for the 49ers. That's obviously a terrible bummer. I'm going Eli Mitchell, Casey, the currently the highest on the depth chart for the 49ers. And he's available all across most of these leagues. Actually, at least 16 to 17% available. So it's maybe not a guarantee. Behind him, Jermichael Hasty, and then Trey Sermon. If you're thinking long term, maybe you want to grab Sermon. They're going to Philly this week, Casey. Should be a good game.
Oh man! And then speaking of Philly, I'm going to go ahead and throw out Kenneth Gainwell there. Obviously, Sanders has the hold on that job, but Gainwell he's available in 86% of leagues. And I think what he did last week passed him, moved him past Boston Scott on the depth chart, and he
Hmm.
did have a touchdown last week. So there's some points there. Sanders' durability may be in question, or if he puts the rock on the carpet, look for Gainwell to get some touches there.
All right.
All right, Dave. What about wide receivers?
All right, Casey. This one is sort of forward thinking, but Van Jefferson
Mhm.
for our Los Angeles Rams with their new quarterback Stafford there throwing it all around the yard. He hit two times, two out of three to Jefferson, but
Hey,
for 80
ask
yards.
Meatloaf. That ain't bad. 2 out of
Two
3
out
ain't
of three.
bad.
2 out of 3 ain't bad, Casey, and especially when you take one to the house for a touchdown. Pretty nice numbers. Now, he's not, super high up on the depth chart, but again, they're going to score a ton of points for that Ram squad. And if somebody were to get hurt in front of him, I think he's ready to step up into a more prominent role. They're going to Indy this week, so that should be a good game.
Yeah, I like that a lot. On my squad, OBJ, he's been ruled out for his second consecutive week. So I went out and I picked up Deontay Harris from the Saints. He's available in 86% of the league.
Mm,
Uh, Last week, two catches only, 55 yards and a touchdown, though. So it's going to be dependent on him hitting pay dirt. But right now, they have no Michael Thomas, and Jameis had 5 TDs last week. Someone's got to catch those
yeah.
touchdowns. So why not my guy, Deontay Harris? He might only be a 1 week flyer for me, but I'm going to go ahead and try to roll with him, and hopefully it pays off.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to get those touchdowns, right, Casey?
Yeah.
That could segue us into the next section.
All right. You must be
Section.
talking about the tight ends, right?
Right. I'm looking forward to maybe if he's available, and he is in 85% of the leagues out there. Jawan Johnson, man, what a game last week! two touchdowns on only three targets. So once again, a guy limited targets, but really putting up big numbers. I don't know. It's hard to say what's going to happen with Jameis tossing the ball. Maybe Juwan Johnson's going to be one of his favorites, but a great start for him in that blowout win over the Packers. They'll be heading to Carolina this week.
Yeah, this guy is started making the transition last year. Looks like he's coming around. Cole Kmet, dude, he's still
Yeah,
available in 75% of the leagues. The Bears absolutely love this guy. Last week, 5 receptions, but 7 targets, 42 yards there. Should have a little easier going against those Bengals than he did against the Rams, but this guy is definitely an ascending player.
nice. Former
All right,
former
Dave, let's
Notre
take.
Damer.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah, you love the
I'd throw
Golden
that out
Domes,
there.
bro. You love them Golden Domes. All right, Dave, let's talk about kickers. Just kidding. Unless you had Graham Gano on Thursday night and he rocked
Ooh.
you at 22 points. That's why the hell with the kickers, Dave. Let's talk about some defenses, bro.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the Saints theme going here today. The Saints are marching in, Casey, and the Saints defense held the Packers to just 229 yards and three lousy points in Week 1. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen every week, but they are playing the Panthers on Sunday, so maybe it's a good time to jump on the Saints.
Yeah, Dave, and you might ask me, what am I smoking with this pick? But I'm going to go ahead and pick the Seattle Seahawks.
What?
Yeah. What am I smoking? I don't know. But listen, last week
What
they
are
did
you
pretty
smoking?
well. They held the Colts to under 5 yards of play. They had 3 sacks and 1 takeaway. And why I'm doing this is because they're playing the Titans coming to town. And last week, Ryan Tannehill was sacked 6 times against Arizona. Similar scheme there, so maybe they can get home on there. And it's going to be lathered up there in front of the 12s. It's going to be a raucous house. So if they can't get the run game going, look for them to release the Hawk Hounds and hopefully they can get Tannehill to the ground.
Yeah, they got an offensive line issue there in Tennessee, so they better shore it up, or it's going to be more trouble.
Hey, if you guys want to be part of the show, hit us up on any of our socials, man. Submit questions because we have answers. And speaking of, Nick from Mar Vista writes, I have Derrick Henry and he sucked last week. Is it too early to panic?
Yeah, yes, it is. Although, like I did mention, I think they do have a little offensive line issues there in Tennessee that does concern me. But I think with the quarterback and the receivers that they have to sort of offset, King Henry should get it going. I have him in my league. I'm by no means benching him because then he's going to go off.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they will be going to Seattle, as you mentioned, Casey. And they'll be looking to get him on track and get
Have
everything
to.
going. The whole offense needs to start clicking. Last week, throw it away, move forward. Henry's going to be all right.
Yeah, off with his head. Sorry, Nick, you're dead to us. The king does not like that question. But the rest of you guys out there, make sure you check out the Trend Zone. That's our weekly podcast where we talk the top trending stories in the NFL, a little fantasy, a little survivor, and we preview some of the best games in the NFL.
Yeah, that's the Trend Zone podcast, and it's available for subscription on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, or just head on over to footballdudes.com. It's all there for you.
Sounds easy enough. All right, that is going to do it for the Football Dudes Extranomical Fantasy Show. May your reality and your fantasy meld into one extranomical football weekend. We'll see you guys next week.